say that Joseph is the natural father of Messiah and there was no virgin birth. If Yeshua was not the bloodline son of Joseph, does he have the legal right to sit on David's throne? Let's talk about it in today's session. Let's begin by going back to the beginning to see what was said to the first Adam. This comes from Genesis 1:26 through 28. Then Yah said, "Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." So Yah created man in his own image. In the image of Yah, he created him. Male and female, he created them. Then Yah blessed them, and Yah said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. Have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves on the earth." So to be like him included having dominion. Notice that it says he created them male and female. But everything was in Adam at first. Eve was also in him. This blessing that was bestowed on them included a blessing to be fruitful, to multiply, and to have dominion. But here's a point we can't miss. The burden of responsibility was on Adam. Why? He was carrying seed in his loins. The female was given a womb so that she could receive the seed, carry it, and give birth to it. Both are important. But the enemy figured out that he could also take advantage of the woman's womb to bring forth his seed. You'll see the significance of this as we go on. Genesis 2:15-17 tells us, "The Most High Yah took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to tend and keep it. And the Most High Yah commanded the man, saying, Of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat. For in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die." So in other words, you are the caretaker. You are to have dominion in the earth. But you answer to me. How do we know that? He gave him a command. He was one who represented the king in heaven. Yah reigns from his throne in heaven, and Adam was set up on earth to reign, to subdue, and have dominion here. But we know that something happened to change all of that. Adam's enemy wanted dominion, and he used deception to get it. He enticed Eve to eat from the tree, and Adam, who was right there with her, ate from the tree as well. He did not exercise his authority. Remember, he was given authority over every living thing that moved on the earth. Let's look at this from Genesis 3:14-19. "So the Most High Yah said to the serpent," he speaks to the serpent, the instigator first, "because you have done this, you did this, you are cursed more than all cattle and more than every beast of the field. On your belly you shall go, and you shall eat dust all the days of your life. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel." Notice that the Most High speaks forth judgment and salvation. It will come through the seed of the woman. Now he speaks judgment to the woman. "I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your conception. In pain you shall bring forth children. Your desire shall be for your husband, and he shall rule over you." This is judgment. Then to Adam he says, because you have heeded the voice of your wife, and have eaten from the tree of which I commanded you, saying, you shall not eat of it, cursed is the ground for your sake. The very thing he has dominion over is now cursed because of him. In toil you shall eat of it all the days of your life. Both thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for you, and you shall eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of your face you shall eat bread till you return to the ground. For out of it you were taken, for dust you are, and to dust you shall return. So in other words, you will work very hard for everything you get. 1 Corinthians 15:45-49 tells us that it is written that the first man, Adam, became a living being. The last Adam became a life-giving spirit. However, the spiritual is not first, but the natural, and afterward the spiritual. The first man was of the earth, made of dust. The second man is, and you see written here, the Lord, or the owner. He was the entity that came from heaven. He was divine. As was the man of dust, so also are those who are made of dust. And as is the heavenly man, so also are those who are heavenly. And as we have borne the image of the man of dust, we shall also bear the image of the heavenly man. Messiah came to deal with the fall of Adam. He came in a body made of dust. And that's why it says he was made a little lower than the angels. He had to live as man. He had to work. Mark 6:3 says, is this not the carpenter, the son of Mary? He had to eat, sleep. He also had free will, just like Adam. The Word made flesh was sent to undo what the first Adam did. Scripture says he was tempted in all points, yet without sin. He was obedient. He submitted to the Word even unto the death. He knew that he was sent to be the sacrifice. But just like the first Adam, the physical body had to die and be buried in the ground. He had to take back what Adam lost. And what we want to know is, did he have a legal right to David's throne? Because this is what David was told in 2 Samuel 7:12-13. When your days are fulfilled and you rest with your fathers, in other words, when you pass away, I will set up your seed after you, who will come from your body, and I will establish his kingdom. He shall build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. So was this talking about Solomon, or was it talking about Yeshua? Because we know that Solomon got into some crazy stuff before he died. This comes from 1 Kings 11:9-13. So the Most High became angry with Solomon because his heart had turned from the Most High Yah of Israel, who had appeared to him twice, and had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods. But he did not keep what the Most High had commanded. Therefore the Most High said to Solomon, because you have done this, and you have not kept my covenant and my statutes, which I have commanded you, I will surely tear the kingdom away from you and give it to your servant. Nevertheless, I will not do it in your days, for the sake of your father David. I will tear it out of the hand of your son. However, I will not tear away the whole kingdom. I will give one tribe to your son for the sake of my servant David, and for the sake of Jerusalem, which I have chosen. But this was the prophecy given to David. This is Psalm 132:11. The Most High has sworn in truth to David. He will not turn from it. I will set upon your throne the fruit of your body. So who was it? This comes from 1 Kings 2:10 through 12. So David rested with his fathers and was buried in the city of David. The period that David reigned over Israel was 42 years. 7 years he reigned in Hebron, and in Jerusalem he reigned 33 years. Then Solomon sat on the throne of his father David, and his kingdom was firmly established. So this tells us that David ruled over both houses, the house of Judah and the house of Israel, and then it passed on to Solomon. So in the Old Testament, we see two distinct methods of claiming kingship. One is by prophetic or divine appointment. The other is by passing it on through lineage. For example, where did David get his kingship? It was by prophetic appointment through Samuel, because he did not descend from Saul. He was anointed and appointed. And here in this passage we see that his kingship passed on to his son Solomon. So the question we have to ask is, if Joseph is not the father of Messiah, how can he sit on David's throne? How does he have legal rights to the throne? Let's see what it says here in Luke 1:31 through 32. The angel Gabriel is speaking to Mary, telling her she was going to conceive in her womb and bring forth a son, and what his name would be called. He also told her, listen, he will be great and be called the Son of the Highest, not the son of Joseph. And the Most High Yah will give him the throne of his father David. Did you catch that? But why does it say his father David? Because legally he had access through Joseph's lineage, because Mary was espoused to Joseph. It was a legal agreement, a pre-arranged marriage. Just food for thought, though. Mary would have supplied the X chromosome, but the Y would have to come from a man. So where did the X and Y chromosomes originate in the first place? It didn't come from man. Where did Adam get his? And we know that his seed died spiritually as a result of the curse. Joseph's seed could not be used. And there's something else that we can't overlook. Listen to this from Luke 2:1 through 5. It came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. And this taxing was first made when Cyrenius was governor of Syria, and all went to be taxed, every one into his own city. And Joseph also went up from Galilee, out of the city of Nazareth, into Judea, unto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and lineage of David, to be taxed with Mary his espoused wife, being great with child. So the arranged marriage of Mary and Joseph was a binding agreement. By law, he was her husband. He claimed lineage from David. So you can see how this binding agreement was so strong that Mary had to go with him to be taxed. But it's still referring to her as his espoused wife. Then it says she was great with child. She actually gave birth while they were there. But he covered her so that she would not be made a public spectacle, as we see here in Luke 3:23. And Yeshua himself began to be about 30 years of age, being, as was supposed, the son of Joseph, which was the son of Heli. So people were none the wiser. They assumed that Joseph was his natural father. Scripture tells us here in Matthew 1:22 through 25, all this was done that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken of the Most High by the prophet. This comes right out of Isaiah. It's the sign to the house of David, saying, Behold, a virgin shall be with child, and shall bring forth a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which being interpreted is Yah with us. Then Joseph, being raised from sleep, did as the angel of the Most High had bidden him, and took unto him his wife. And he knew her not till she had brought forth her firstborn son, and he called his name Yeshua. Her firstborn son. He was not intimate with her until after she gave birth. So when we look at the kingship, why would he need to inherit it when he already had it? John 18:37 confirms that he came here as king. He's standing before Pilate, and Pilate asks him, Are you a king? He replies, You say rightly that I am a king. Then he says, For this cause, for this reason I was born, and for this reason I have come into the world, that I should bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth hears my voice. He was already king. He came to bridge the divide, to reconnect the kingship authority that was stolen from Adam. He had the power to do that because he is the King of Kings. So even though we were given authority to have dominion, our true king was in heaven, but our ancestors rebelled and asked for a king because they wanted to be like the other nations. And we can see here in 1 Samuel 8:6 through 9 how Samuel was grieved by it when they did that. It says the thing displeased Samuel when they said, Give us a king to judge us. So Samuel prayed to the Most High, and the Most High said to Samuel, Heed the voice of the people in all that they say to you, for they have not rejected you, they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them, according to all the works which they have done since the day I brought them up out of Egypt, even to this day, with which they have forsaken me and served other gods. So they are doing to you also. Now therefore heed their voice. However, you shall solemnly forewarn them and show them the behavior of the king who will reign over them. Do you see this? Israel was not supposed to have a king. We had a king. He ruled from heaven. He appointed judges and priests in the nation, but our ancestors wanted more and willingly subjected themselves to men. Let's look at some more confirmation that he came here as king. This is Matthew 2:1 through 2. Now after Yeshua was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he who has been born King of the Yehudis? For we have seen his star in the east, and have come to worship him. His followers acknowledge this as well. This comes from Acts 17:5 through 7. But the Yehudis who were not persuaded, becoming envious, took some of the evil men from the marketplace, and gathering a mob, set all the city in an uproar, and attacked the house of Jason, and sought to bring them out to the people. But when they did not find them, they dragged Jason and some brethren to the rulers of the city, crying out, These who have turned the world upside down have come here too. Jason has harbored them, and these are all acting contrary to the decrees of Caesar, saying, there is another king. And they named him Yeshua. Daniel was given a vision of the restoration of what Adam lost. So Daniel 7:13 through 14 tells us what Daniel saw in that vision. He says, I was watching in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man, coming with the clouds of heaven. He came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. Then to him was given dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all peoples, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom the one which shall not be destroyed. Now, here in verse 21, Daniel is told that the kingdom will be given to the saints, because we're supposed to dominate in the earth. It says, I was watching, and the same horn was making war against the saints and prevailing against them until the Ancient of Days came, and a judgment was made in favor of the saints of the Most High, and the time came for the saints to possess the kingdom. So we are to dominate in the earth, but we have to do it based on the laws of heaven. So understanding who he is and why he came is important. Now this comes from Revelation 1:4 through 8, and John is writing this when he was on the Isle of Patmos. He wrote these words to the 7 churches in Asia. And he says to the churches, grace to you and peace from him who is, and who was, and who is to come, and from the 7 spirits who are before his throne, and from Yeshua, the faithful witness, the firstborn from the dead, and the ruler over the kings of the earth. Now listen to what he says about Yeshua. To him who loved us and washed us from our sins in his own blood, and has made us kings and priests unto whom? Unto Yah the Father. To him be glory and dominion forever and ever. Now he tells us he's coming with clouds, and every eye will see him, even they who pierced him. And all the tribes of the earth will mourn because of him. Well, why are they mourning? Because of how he was treated. Now listen to Messiah speaking in verse 8, and he identifies himself. Pay close attention to his words. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, who is and who was and who is to come, the Almighty. Outside of the Father, he is the only begotten Son, serving as the bridge to draw men back into right relationship with Abba Yah. This is why he came. So when you say his name, what meaning are you attaching to it? What does his name mean? What are you saying when you call his name? And does it line up with who he says he is and what he came to do? And the most important question is, do you really believe that's who he is? Now pay close attention. Listen to this from 1 John 4:2 through 3. By this you know the Spirit of Yah. So what I'm about to say, it's because you know this that you know the Spirit of Yah. Every spirit that confesses that Yeshua has come in the flesh is of Yah. So pause right there. What's so special about that? Isn't that how we all come into the world? When we're born, don't we come here with the body made of flesh? So why is John saying it's important to confess that Yeshua came in the flesh if we're all born of flesh. Just think for a second. If Joseph was the father, he would have a son born of the flesh. Children are born that way every day. What's so special about that? Don't you see that there's something different here? It's important to know who he is and where he was before he came here. He is the Word that the Father sent and made a fleshly body for him. He was made flesh. And this is important because the Father said he would reveal this to those who are his. He is revealed, and it serves as a separator. It separates those who have the Spirit of Yah from those who don't. Who do men say that I am? Now pay close attention here. This comes from Revelation 12, 1 through 7. It says, "Now a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a garland of 12 stars. Then being with child, she cried out in labor and in pain to give birth." Isn't it interesting that her experience is described as a great sign? Now think about the sign from Isaiah 7 when Yah says he will give you a sign. A virgin will conceive and bear a son. It goes on to say in verse 3, "And another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great fiery red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 diadems on his heads. His tail drew a third of the stars of heaven and threw them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was ready to give birth, to devour her child as soon as it was born. She bore a male child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up to Yah and his throne. Then the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared by Yah, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. Now, you notice that the woman and the serpent are both identified here. They're both in Genesis 3:15. Also notice that a part of her judgment was to experience a lot of pain to give birth. Also notice that the dragon has diadems on his heads, or crowns, to indicate what? Dominion. He got it from Adam. So we should not be surprised that he's waiting to devour this child, because he knows that the child is going to crush his head. Now I have a question for you. Where did the woman get the seed to conceive the child? Do you see how this is symbolic of Mary conceiving and bringing forth the child? He is divine and he is also human. Mary is the mother of the child. She's not the mother of the son. The body he was born into gave him legal access. Heavenly beings would come to this earth, and people would experience visitations. But they didn't stay and live here like we do, because the earth was given to man. Other entities need a body. Yeshua came into the world legally. The divine essence was in a body made of dust to do transactions in the earth, just like the first Adam. He had to take back the dominion that the first Adam lost. Why? Because this earth was to be ruled by those Yah created to live here, man, not angels. They had their own place. So this serpent usurped authority. He had no legal right to this earth, but he used deception to get it when Adam disobeyed. This allowed the serpent to gain access to something that did not belong to him. Reclaiming it had to be done legally. He stole it from man. A man had to take it back. How? By obeying the command that was given. But not only that, the wages of sin is death. Sin entered the world because of Adam's sin. So something had to die. When Adam and Eve sinned, what did Yah do? He covered them with what? He used animal skin. So an animal had to be sacrificed. That was the temporary fix for us as well, until a perfect sacrifice could come into the earth to not just cover, but to wash the sin away. And he had to do it with his own blood that had not been tainted with sin. So he couldn't come through the seed of the first Adam. They were spiritually dead, to include Joseph. No, this sacrifice had to be perfect and blemish free, like the first Adam before he fell. So he had to come in a body made from the dust of the earth, just like Adam. And what authority did Adam have, family? He had the legal authority to have dominion over the earth. Yeshua came here with that authority. He is the King of Kings. The righteous judge had to make a body for his only begotten Son to come into this earth and take back what Adam lost. But he had to do it legally. I will wrap up here with this from Jeremiah 33:14 through 15. Behold, the days are coming, says the Most High, that I will perform that good thing which I have promised to the house of Israel and to the house of Judah. In those days and at that time I will cause to grow up to David a branch of righteousness. He shall execute judgment and righteousness in the earth. So again, we see restoration of what the first Adam lost. This branch of righteousness will execute judgment and righteousness in the earth, not just the nation of Israel. It extends to the other nations. So does he have a legal right to David's throne? Well, I would have to ask, who gave David that legal right? Where did David's anointing and appointment come from? It came from heaven. But Messiah came here with that right. It's his divine appointment. He said that's why he came, to bear witness to that truth. The child was born so that the missing link could be restored. But the Son came to be the bridge. He was the spiritual connection. Mary gave birth to the child. So the Catholic Church got that part wrong when they say Mary is the mother of God. He didn't need a mother. And he does not need man's permission to be who he is. He is the King of Kings. By coming in the flesh, he made it possible for the dominion to be restored to man. That was the Father's original intent. He gave the earth to man. The Most High has the power, and he gives us the authority. So I hope this message has been a blessing to you. Please remember to hit the like, share it, and you're also welcome to subscribe if you have not already done so. We normally upload our messages on Sundays at 8:30 a.m. Until next time, be blessed, family.